So welcome to the practice this week. You might like to have a block. I have my now standard 2 blocks here to allow me to sit with more ease, but perhaps for you 1 block would be nice. And then take the usual staples like your bolster, maybe a blanket. As we agreed, the morning is cold, the day is hot. So we're working with all sorts of temperatures today, just making sure you're very comfortable. We'll begin lying down on the backs. So if you would please lie down on your back. If that's not possible, indicate to me. This can be done seated as well. So now that you have decided to lie down, you could try and bend your knees and then let the knees fall outward so that the soles of the feet are gently touching. This is called Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined bound angle pose. Now, if you find that's quite strong for you, you could use either block, bolster, or cushions to pop under the sides of the knees, and with that supporting the shape. Do allow a little movement if the body is still feeling like it's waking up or clunky today. And then get yourself to perhaps close your eyes, or choosing to steady the gaze toward the ceiling, whichever feels more comfortable for you at this point in time. I have decided this week to work with the topic acceptance, which is leaning into last week's theme. Throughout my own challenges in the recent months, that was the one that I had to work on as well. So I tend to often share my personal thoughts. And when we think about acceptance, it is really not that we need to just let go of everything and do nothing. It is hard work. And it is a work where we're starting to learn a little bit more about ourselves, perhaps. And this practice here on the mat lends itself to the exploration of exactly that. It is a safe space. You're on your own mat. We are, as a collective, taking care of each other. And all of that could help you to safely explore what is happening within your mind. As we approach different practices and shapes, you might notice that one or the other has the potential to trigger thoughts or feelings, perhaps also attachments or a desire for a particular outcome. Maybe trying to recognize that this is happening for you today, if you like. Now, part of what we do quite naturally when we're struggling is sighing. So I would love to start this practice with a few sighs. To start with those, deeply inhale through your nostrils. And then let the breath come out of the mouth. This could be very soft to begin with, just soft, maybe even almost noise-free sighs where you just hear the air coming out of the mouth. Keep breathing in deeply when you're ready, and then sighing out. Observe your body as you continue the sighing practice. Each breath, and then follow it with the sigh. Play around potentially, if that's right for you, with the softer sounds, and perhaps even a loud sigh. Try a few more rounds. See where it takes you today. How is your physical body responding to the sighs? Is there any change in your mind? Perhaps after this few rounds, You're feeling a little bit more connected also to where you are, how you positioned yourself. Please feel free to bring the knees up now. If they're still out to the side, you might want to help them, bringing knees back into center. And perhaps it feels good to step the feet out towards the edges of the mat and let the knees drop inwards. So we're doing now the opposite, a slight inward rotation for the hips. You might notice that there's a gentle release happening in your lower back, perhaps also in the front of your hips. We will continue with a breathing practice. If you've got Ujjayi breath in your practice, you can add that too. If not, don't worry about it today. It's more about the breathing ratio and a deeper breath. Beginning to deepen your breathing in and out of your nostrils. No particular pattern today. If you're usually using your full yogi pattern, you can do that too. And the practice that I will now introduce involves counting. If you find the count that I offer is not your count, you need that longer or shorter. Please maintain that within the ratio, but lengthen and shorten as you need to. And also, if the counting isn't for you at all, you might just feel into the rhythm of the breath instead. We will begin with an inhalation for 4, 3, 2, 1. If you can, hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhaling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhaling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue breathing in for 4, holding for 7, and exhaling for 8. If the hold and the exhalation seem too long, shorten them both a little. So we're maintaining roughly the same ratio of breathing. You will notice that when you're counting yourself, if you choose to do that you're almost automatically adjusting the count by counting a little bit faster or more slowly. So exploring these options for yourself. In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. Finishing your current breath. And then letting go of breath control and observing. While this technique might feel challenging because of hold and length of exhalation, it works on an overall balanced and relaxed being. Bringing now both knees towards the chest. You might like to gently rock a little from side to side, tapping into a gentle massage of your back. Then keep only the right knee over your chest, take both hands there, and stepping the left foot down onto the ground. If it feels right for you, you can also extend your left leg out. Now taking the opposite hand to the knee, let your other arm gently fall away from your body, and with the out breath guiding your knee across the body. Now, if that feels a little bit stuck, rock in and out of that twist for a little while. So just gently rolling a little bit out and then guiding back into the twist. You might find a place in which you feel right to stay. You could then inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Rolling back into the center, perhaps extending the right leg toward the ceiling. And you could take a hold comfortably behind the leg, flexing the foot. Drawing the leg a little bit closer as you're breathing out. And if it's okay, you start to point and then flex the foot again a few rounds. Observing the movement here within the leg. And if that feels interesting or even good, you could turn the foot in different directions, moving into the different fascia lines within your legs. Also related strongly to our energy channels. So we keep everything moving and flowing. Finish with the toes pointed. Taking a breath in to open the arms out and touching the palms of the hands to the floor. While I've got a door here, on the inhale, opening your leg out to the right. On your exhale, rolling across even as you swing the leg over. On your inhale, roll onto your back. Keep the pelvis stable as you breathe in, but let it roll when you're breathing out. And then repeating that for 3 more breaths. Open on the inhale and coming across on the exhale. When you completed your rounds, and we will all finish at a different time, leave the leg up here, bend the knee, give it a loving squeeze in towards the chest. Bringing your left knee into the chest as well, another hug, and maybe rocking once more from side to side. Then changing to hold just onto the left knee and stepping the right foot down onto the mat, or perhaps extending the leg out long. Taking the opposite hand to your knee and letting your left arm fall away from the body. On your next out breath, then guide the knee gently across into a twist. Yes, you can hold, or you can choose to just roll a little bit out and then encourage more depth into the twists. While you do that, be aware of the shoulders and aiming to keep the opposite shoulder on the mat. So the upper body is stabilizing and we're twisting from mid-back. You might choose to hold and finish it with a deep breath in and out of your nose. Then rolling back onto the back, extending the leg toward the ceiling, and if you can, holding gently onto the leg behind it. Flexing the foot and drawing the leg a little bit closer if available. Right, from here start to point and flex the left foot. And as indicated at the beginning, we're learning about ourselves, so notice any resistance to any practice, any preferences even. You might turn your foot in different directions now and exploring what that feels like. Finishing the movement with your foot pointed and a breath in to open the arms, palms of the hands touching the floor. On the in-breath, open the leg to the left. On the out-breath, roll the hips over and swing the leg across. For the inhale, open. For the exhale, swinging across the pelvis is rolling. So stabilizing on the inhale and swinging over on the exhale. Bringing your leg back into center. Bringing the knee back into the chest for a squeeze. And bringing the other knee in again as well. With both knees in your chest, might like to rock again from side to side. And if you enjoy being bundled up like this, you can roll over onto your side. If you would like to rock over the back, and that is possible, could you start to rock a few times forwards and back, lifting yourself potentially into a seated position. We won't stay here. Coming all the way up into a standing pose. And as you can see, I'm moving freely into standing, and you can use all the support that you require there just as much. I will take my 2 blocks here, but one could be enough, just simply as a potential support at the front end of the mat. But if you might choose to start standing there, I will turn myself forward so you can see the practice better. Aligning the outer edges of your feet with each other, those of the mat. Feet can be hip distance, or you may touch your big toes together. Notice when you're standing how you're adjusting yourself, and feel a little bit as if you're lifting up from the ground, rolling the shoulders back, perhaps turning the palms open. We'll take an inhalation to reach the left arm up, and if it feels right, looking up as well. On your exhale, come into a soft side bend. Be aware that the knees have a potential here to lock, perhaps unlocking them. As you reach across a few more times, maybe just bouncing in and out, similar to what we've done with our twisting. And you could choose here to turn a hand into different directions. So similar to what we've done with our foot. We're working into the different arm lines and the side line of the body. Take an inhale and reach your left arm back up. On the exhale, bend your elbow and place your fingertips right behind your head or towards your upper back. You could then reach with your hand towards the elbow, and I'm pretty sure that looks very pretty for you. As you might engage lightly by lifting from your pelvic floor, drawing your lower abdominals in, and then pulling your arm gently backwards. While you might choose to hold this stretch, you could breathe out and come back to the side bend. If you feel movement today is better for you rather than holding, you can have that little bounce in and out. Keeping your elbow back, your chest facing forward, the shoulders balanced. And an in-breath as you release, reaching arms up, and the out-breath to let your arms come back down by your sides. You might find there's quite different sensations now. One side could even feel quite shortened. For the next inhale, raising your right arm up. And on the out-breath, coming into the side bend. Now the same here, holding is fine, keeping a solid stance, knees out of the lock. But you could also bounce a little in and out of your side bend. And if that's right for you, also turning your hand, your arm to explore the different variations. As your next inhale, reaching your arm back up. And perhaps landing the hand behind the head. Bringing the other hand towards your elbow. Soften the knees, pelvic floor on, lower ribs in, and an out breath to draw the elbow backwards. While you could then choose to hold onto that elbow and bend sideways again. Your choice once more to bounce slightly in and out of the side bend. Inhaling as we come up, reaching the arms up. And your out breath, releasing the arms down by your sides. I will now turn towards my short front edge of the mat as well. And with the next inhalation, reaching both arms up. Soften your knees as you draw your hands down the midline and breathe out to fold forward. And inhale for a half lift. On your exhale now, stepping your right foot back into a lunge. Maybe bringing the knee down onto the floor. And perhaps using a block if you need to. If not, you can keep your fingertips down on the ground. Starting to notice how you've chosen to stand. Are you leaning forward? Are you centered like my body, hip over knee? Nothing is wrong here. But grounding a little bit more into your front foot. And on the inhale, push the foot into the ground and start to lift your upper body. Perhaps your arms are coming up. On the out breath, you can leave your arms there, tucked into your heart, or place the hands down on top of your thigh. While this is still a kneeling lunge, you've got the choice now to really lunge in for a hip flexor stretch, or to stay here, focus on your balance. If you do the second, pull the legs in a little bit as if you were standing on them. If your hands are down, take a breath in and reach them back up. On the exhale, reach your hands down toward the ground and start to straighten the front leg, perhaps sliding the heel just a little bit forward to avoid sitting backwards. You might then floint the front foot by pushing out through the ball of the foot. And if that's right for you, on the out, by starting to lean toward the extended leg. This will be more or less a steady hold. The flointing of the foot is helping us here to engage the leg all around. But if you feel a little bit stuck, there's no reason why you couldn't move the foot again and tap potentially into different areas of lengthening in the leg. This is Ardha Hanumanasana, or the half monkey god pose. If there's any monkeys amongst us, you could breathe out and slide your heel further forward, working towards full Hanumanasana. If you challenge yourself like this, please be grounded through the hands, arms, or fists. And then let's draw the heel back in. Even bringing your knee down onto the mat. The hands back down to the floor. And you might lean your hips a little bit forward, finding a kneeling plank position. Drawing the tailbone back towards the heels and keeping your elbows in as you exhale and begin to lower to the mat. Untucking the toes, the tops of the feet on the floor. With the inhalation, create a little wave in your upper body, lifting for a gentle cobra. And breathe out to release that again. Repeat that for 2 more breaths. If your lower back is sore, perhaps lifting your legs or feet as well to release the pressure. On the inhale, pushing back into the mat as you rise up to hands and knees. If you prefer downward facing dog, this is the moment to tuck toes under and lift the knees for a downward dog. Either position is fine to transition. On the inhale, extending the right leg back. On your out breath, point the toes and draw the knee in towards your chest. On the inhale, extend the leg, but also your spine. On your out breath, draw the knee towards the opposite elbow in a light lower body twist. Then inhale, extend the leg again. And out breath, aiming with the knee towards the elbow. Inhaling again to lengthen. And with a big step or a swing, a hop, landing the foot forward in between the hands. You might as well feel again how you positioned yourself, centered, hip over knee, or leaning into a hip flexor stretch. Both is perfect, just acknowledging. Let's push down into the front foot and take a breath in to lift. The exhale is to hold or to bring the hands down to heart or top off the thigh. Again, the option of leaning a little bit into. But if you do, and perhaps you've observed that I've automatically adjusted my pelvis so that I'm not hanging here in the front side and the right side, that left side's actually evenly moving forward. And perhaps the feet are drawing and the knee are drawing towards each other. With the next inhale, lifting the arms again. On the exhale, starting to straighten the front leg and reaching towards the mat. You might like to slide the heel a little bit out towards the front with the leg extension. Begin to floint the foot by bringing the ball of the foot actively forward. And on your next out breath, could you lower toward the extended leg? And the same here, this is Ardha Hanumanasana, the half monkey god pose. You can play with the pose by turning your foot, finding different ways of lengthening through the leg. It's perfectly fine to hold. And for the monkeys amongst us, there's the option of sliding the heel forward, deepening the stretch. Full Hanuman or the splits. Sliding the heel back in and landing the foot to the ground. Either your hands on the ground or supported, tucking the back toes under, lifting the knee off the mat and stepping the foot to the front, finding a standing forward fold. On the inhale, lengthen your spine forward, half lift. And an out breath to bend again. Bend your knees and start to rise up from the ground. Inhaling to lift the arms up. And exhaling to release your arms back down by the sides. Give the shoulders a little shrug. Find a steady gazing point or even choose to close your eyes. Noticing what's happening in your body now. How are you feeling? Is there warmth coming up? The body feeling more alive or awakened? As you open your eyes on the next inhale, lifting the arms back up. Softening the knees, the out breath to fold. On the inhale, come to half lift. And with the exhale, this time stepping your left foot back. Grounding the knee down towards the mat. And the same here, pushing into the front foot as we rise up. Inhale. Inhale to open the arms. And exhale to draw the left arm underneath the right. And perhaps widening the arms up or giving your shoulders an embrace. Eagle arms with a lunching position. You now know your lunches, so rather moving the elbows a little bit forward, the hands perhaps as well. If you feel up for it, you could tuck your back toes under, push off the floor and come to stand. I don't think my leg is going to oblige. Perhaps yours are. Or you might bring the hands down to support. Reopen your arms and bring the left arm back under. On the next in-breath, unwind the arms and reach them up no matter where your knee is. On the out-breath, reaching the hands down to the mat. You can lower the knee again for balance in the body or step straight into down dog if that was your choice in the previous rounds. If you come to a downward dog, please roll the spine forward, choosing kneeling or full plank. On the exhale, elbows are in and lowering down onto the mat. Perhaps the forehead is resting down. We'll repeat the moving cobra 3 rounds. Inhaling, lifting, feet off the ground for lower back issues. And exhale to lower. Pressing feet into the ground for anybody else as you inhale. And out breath. One more round. With the next inhale, then coming back onto the hands and the knees. And either you stay here or you turn that back into a downward facing dog. As you find your stance again. On the next inhale, extending the left leg back. The out breath, knee to the chest. Inhaling, extending the leg again. Out breath, knee toward the opposite elbow. Inhaling, extending again. Exhale to the same side elbow. And we'll extend one more time on the in-breath. And then either bringing the knee forward or helping the foot to land here at the front. As we push back down into the front foot starting to rise, taking an inhale to lift. Another inhale to open. And the right arm crosses underneath for a hug or to touch the palms. Leaving shoulders easy and elbows forward, maybe the hands a little bit forward today as well. As you find yourself here. A choice to stay exactly where you are or to tuck the back toes under. You know the trick now. You could push up from the ground here or use a support to lift up. If you use the support, release your arms and then swing the right arm back under. Settling into the lunge, shoulders easy, elbows and hands a little bit forward. Steady gazing point. An inhale to release the shape and reach up. An out breath to step to the front and a standing forward fold. Inhaling, come to a half lift. Exhaling to fold forward again. Now bend your knees and come all the way up into standing, taking a deep breath in. On your out breath, release your arms by your sides, returning again into a mountain pose. Either closing the eyes or steadying your gaze. Maybe you need to lean a little bit from side to side to feel the groundedness underneath the feet. Let your breath settle. We're taking a deep inhalation and allow a sigh out. As we approach a balance, be playful or holdful as you could touch a wall or a piece of furniture by your side. For the inhale, raise your arms and the right knee. You might bring the hands to your heart center and place your heel to the upper thigh. So you might help it there a little bit, making sure that the knee is away from the kneecap. You can have your standing leg a little bit bent to assist with this hold. You could then breathe in and reach your left arm up and perhaps landing the elbow to the knee and resting the hand into the palm. If you're dancing now, keep dancing, keep stacking yourself. If you need an extra challenge, bring the other arm in, and rest the chin into that hand. Very pretty. Let's take an inhale and stretch that out into a very happy star position, trying to land that with grace, pointing your toes. Then release the foot, release the arms. Finding your steady gazing point or drishti again. Now that you know what's coming, the other side might feel a bit easier. On your inhale, lifting the left knee and the arms. You might bring your hands down to the heart or help the foot just to come to the thigh. You might like to bend your standing leg a little to assist that. Again, avoiding your kneecap. With the next inhale, the right arm might reach. And you could touch your right elbow towards the knee, bringing the chin into the palm of the hand. Might, maybe, could. And for those of you still playing with the stacking and wanting to add another limb, bring the other arm in, the chin into the palm. You might choose to accept your level of balance today. That's your challenge, potentially. Let's make this a star. As you breathe in, stretch your body out wide. Sparkle your fingers. And then landing again on the feet, releasing the arms. I suggest to step the feet out wide and allow the outer edges to align with those of the mat. Take another inhale to open, maybe squeezing the shoulder blades a little this time. Then bend your knees and perhaps your hands are sliding down the legs for a bit of support. Coming into wide-legged standing forward bend, you can use a block there in front of you if you wish, or reach the hands towards the ground. If your hands do touch the floor, and the elbows might bend, let them bend in between your legs, so backwards behind you rather than out towards the sides. Keep a light lift in the shoulders and lean a tad bit forward into the shape so that the tailbone comes up a bit higher. The only thing to do here really is to lengthen the exhalations and with that potentially deepening your stretch. However, if you're feeling quite stuck, you could also sway for a while from side to side. As you find yourself back in this forward fold, an inhale to come to your fingertips and lengthen into a half lift. Turn your toes towards the short front edge of the mat and raise your back heel. Then bringing your knees down to the floor to step the foot back. Spread your hands back out as if you were standing on all fours, which we're actually doing right now. You could then step the knees back for a kneeling plank, or you could tuck the toes under for a full plank. I'd love you to pause in your chosen plank. Draw the tailbone back towards the heels if that's available to you, so to get that little extra tension and lift from the pelvic floor upward. From your plank, then keep elbows in and exhale to lower to the mat, resting the forehead down. Arms might lengthen down by your sides now. For the in-breath, lift your head and chest, perhaps the legs, perhaps the arms, and then hold the shape like this. If you need to release in between, please don't be shy to do so. Keeping that little lift as your next inhale, maybe bringing it a little bit further and reaching actively back with your toes and your fingers. Then breathe out and soften to the ground. You might turn your favorite ear down to the mat. Maybe touch your big toes together. Let your breath become calm, soft, and gentle. Then turn your head back into center. We will repeat, but if you've had your palms now facing upwards, turn the palms to touch the floor. With the in-breath, then lifting again your head and chest, perhaps your legs and arms. Maintain a length in the neck, so you are looking down but also forward, continuing the curve of the spine you created. And on the in-breath, could you try and lift a little bit higher, but still reaching backwards with the fingers, the toes. On the out-breath, lower again. Take the second ear to the floor if you had the first one down. Come to rest. Wiggle the pelvis if there's need for release. And return to this idea of the breath being soft and gentle. And bring your hands down underneath your shoulders and rising to all fours before you round your spine and sit back towards the heels. Now we keep this moving for a moment. On the inhale, come to all fours. You might even lift tail and gaze if your back allows you to. With your out breath, round the spine and sit back towards the heels. Inhaling all fours or a cow pose. And exhaling like a cat into extended child's pose. Let's take that for another 3 breaths. When you complete it, we will meet in the child's pose. As you settle into a soft child's pose, you can support your head if it's not quite touching the floor. You can have your arms where they feel most comfortable. Allowing 3 deep abdominal breaths to move your breath towards the thighs. So when the belly is expanding, it pushes down into the thighs. We're getting that lovely, gentle abdominal massage. Last breath like this. And as you bring your hands back towards the front, lifting your hips up into the air. Bringing your forearms down onto the ground, taking the elbows to about shoulder distance. You could choose to touch the palms down flat onto the mat, or you can choose to interlace the hands. It's usually my preference. Tucking your toes under here and beginning to stretch your tailbone up and back as much as you can. This is a baby dolphin pose, and with that, it's a light inversion. Any of you feeling great around your shoulders and back, you could also lift the knees off the ground, extend your legs, and be a full dolphin pose. The full dolphin is so much like a downward facing dog, and yet there's never a hope to touch the heels to the floor. That's perfectly fine. We're only here to find the length in the spine and to work on the strength of the upper body, as well as allowing the head to be lowest point and inverting. So if you're able to hold here, notice if you're hanging in the shoulders, maybe activating a bit more through the forearms into the mat. And of course, your knees can be soft and bend if required. If you're still there and comfortable or lightly challenged, stay for 2 more breaths. When you then inhale after, bring knees back down. If you lift the toes, untuck your toes. Perhaps take the knees out wide this round and big toes together as you could choose to sit back to the heels. Maybe rest the head down or support that, and even bringing arms along the side of the body. Everything as usual is an option, but arms by the side might allow your shoulders just to drop forward. Relax after the longer hold. Taking one more breath now before releasing the head off the mat, bringing the hands a little bit forward to draw your knees in, and then an out breath to uncurl the spine before bringing the legs out in front for a seat. I will, however, choose my stack of blocks. You might like to sit on one as we have our knees bent, the feet to the ground, and taking a hold of the knees just to sit upright. You could then take your right ankle and bring the foot to the outside of the hip or the block. Not possible, you can even stay seated as you are, or you could choose to practice that from an easy pose. If you would like to take it further, you could bring the other foot to the outside of the hip as well, aiming to stack the knees, or stay with my version. On the next inhale, reach the left arm up. You might bend your elbow and place the hand behind the neck, the head, perhaps reaching for the elbow. Some of you might rather enjoy to swing the arm out and bring it behind the back, aiming to hold onto the fingertips or even locking the hands together. Your choice, hand on elbow, is just as effective. Keep the lower ribs in and draw the arms back. Keeping your head upright and tall. Gomukhasana, our first pose. Really good if you sit a lot, drive a lot. Opening your upper body. On the next inhale, release the arms and breathe out to relax them down. Now, if you want to be fancy, you can lean across and do a spin, or you could be gentle like myself and step both feet back to the ground. Draw yourself up long again whenever you are landing, and then reach for your left ankle, bringing the foot potentially across. Choosing to leave the other foot here or take it over to the outside and stacking the knees. Your choice again. As you settle into your shape, keep the length of your spine and in-breath to reach the right arm up. As you bend the elbow, you might reach with your hand behind your back. And first option, to grab the elbow, drawing backwards while maintaining the length of your spine, or swinging the arm out and behind to take a hold of the fingers instead. Important to keep the head aligned. Part of the spine is your neck, so keeping the neck aligned, steadying your gaze, exploring sensations, predominantly upper body, perhaps lower body too. Next inhale, release that. And on the out breath, releasing the hands down, taking both legs back out in front, leaning into the fingertips a little bit backwards, and a windscreen wiper movement with the legs. Coming from here onto the back, so I recommend to come off a stack of blocks if you've got one underneath you. To lie down, there's the option of engaging through the center and perhaps the spine support. You could sit here straight in a staff pose or dandasana, the feet in a flexion, Spine upright, shoulders back, perhaps the hands pressing down on either side of your hips, supporting the shape. If you need the support of your hands, please use it. As you start your outburst, begin to round the lower back and starting to descend to the mat. Lying down on your back. And as you get there, support yourself. Choosing perhaps a last movement to get your back ready to be still for Shavasana. Using a cushioning to place underneath the knees, covering yourself to stay warm in the stillness. And let's begin Shavasana as we begin our practice. 3 deep inhalations, 3 sighs of your choice out. Breathing in. Let your body become easy. Let it feel heavy towards the floor or floaty. Eyes can be closed or gaze can be steady. Have you identified in your practice times when you needed to practice acceptance? And this could be just a tiny moment within this practice. A need for acceptance often arises because perceived negative emotions come up. It is often because we need a certain outcome out of a situation, or we believe we do. And we're attached to that rather than surrendering into this moment. If there's something we can change about a situation, we'll just do that. But sometimes we can't. That is the practice of acceptance. We accept what we cannot change. Maybe with these words, it actually reflects into your daily life and you come up with an idea from your daily life to focus on, to relax towards, to notice how you respond to those situations and what you could do to practice acceptance. If your mind wanders too much now, let all of this go and concentrate on your breath. If you can keep the focus on the thoughts, that's fine too. Today, I found a card to enhance our ideas. It is called Desert Sky. The beauty of the desert skyline is that it is filled with nothingness. Our society wants us to fill up our calendars and add to our to-do lists and be as productive as we can be in our empty hours. This is what we call busy. Rarely we are encouraged to just preserve emptiness. That's where the desert comes in, to teach us the loveliness of blank space. Free up a space or two on your calendars. Give yourself an afternoon or another time to do nothing, like a pause in a song. You may be surprised by how important this empty space is. Perhaps you see this desert sky in your mind's eye. Indulge in the calmness of this view. Before returning to the gentle awareness of your breath, just softly entering and exiting your nostrils. You could then decide to deepen the breath, intensifying the sensations in the nostrils, and also becoming aware of the body beginning to move with the breath. You could then deliberately move your body, wiggles, stretches, movements that feel right. And taking your time as you can choose, for example, to roll to your side or rise over the front of the body, to come into a seated pose. Breathing in as you might reach your arms up. Open the arms with the second inhale, and then breathe out to join the hands slowly at heart center, perhaps closing the eyes. I accept what I cannot change. As we take this idea and the light bow to acknowledge each other. Namaste. Thank you for joining today. I will come forward and show you the card. Don't know if you can see that clearly. In that case, I will simply change the camera and use the other. Just a moment, won't take too long. Here we go. Much better.